All right, over the past 5 years, I've personally sent more than 20 million cold emails. This has been across countless industries, generally B2B, but we've even done a little bit of B2C work. And we've been helping our clients and ourselves really generate millions in revenue with cold outreach. So I've witnessed every pitfall, best practice in cold outreach. And by the way, a lot of those best practices are very different than they were just 2 to 3 years ago. And now I'm going to share with you 19 actionable strategies that are going to dramatically improve your email deliverability and appointment booking with cold email as soon as you put it into practice. Now, before we talk about copy or strategy, we need to talk about infrastructure, because you could write the best cold email in the world, and if your infrastructure is broken, then nobody's ever going to see it. So number 1 on my list of 19, your cold email domain should be separate from your main domain. This is really a non-negotiable nowadays. You never want to send cold email from your primary domain. If something goes wrong, and eventually something will, you don't want to end up torching the reputation or the deliverability for your main business domain. That means invoices don't get seen, your CEO's emails don't get seen. You want to set up a separate but similar domain for outreach. So if your main site is Nike.com, you'd grab something like NikeGo.com or GetNike.com for cold outreach. Now, number 2, Warmup is mandatory. It's not optional. When you spin up a new inbox on a new domain, Google and Microsoft have no idea who you are. You have zero reputation. And if you just start blasting emails day one, they're going to see that and you're going to end up going straight to spam. So you need to warm up these new inboxes gradually over time. This is basically training the inbox providers that you're a legitimate sender, right? Now, there are tools that automate this. We'll handle this for you at scale with scaled mail, and any sequencer that we hook up your inboxes to is going to offer Warmup if it's a cold email outreach tool. But the main point is you do not ever skip Warmup or turn it off. Number 3, your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records are really the foundation for authentication for sending cold emails from these new domains. So when I say authentication, what I mean is that this is the signature that Google and Microsoft are looking at to determine if you're a legitimate sender from a domain that you own. And if they're not configured correctly, you're going to end up in spam. Full stop. Now, the acronyms might sound like gibberish to you. Just know that they need to be set up properly before you send a single cold email. Now, most inbox setup tools, including ours, are going to help you configure these automatically. So you don't need to really worry about the intricacies of what the records need to be on your registrar. Just know that you'll be guided through it, whether it's through scaled mail or even another tool like a ConvertKit or a Beehive. They're going to have a way for you to update your DNS records accordingly so that you're able to send these emails. Number 4, you want to rotate your inboxes instead of blasting from just one set. When you send all your volume from a single inbox, it's actually a great way to burn out, right? So you want to spread your sending across 5, 10, even 20 plus inboxes. You're going to be spreading the volume out, which reduces the risk of any one inbox looking like a bad sender and getting a mark that's going to reflect not just on that inbox, but the whole domain. It's going to help keep your reputation clean across the board. So remember, you want many inboxes sending low volume, not 1 or 2 inboxes sending a ton. All right, number 5, you want to be careful with tracking pixels. Now, this is something that a lot of people get wrong. Most cold email tools let you track opens and clicks by setting up custom tracking domains and tracking pixels that you can include in your campaigns to see who opened or who clicked your stuff. Now, we can set these up for you at scaled mail, but my actual advice to most clients is don't use them for cold email. Tracking pixels actively hurt your deliverability. They're also really easy to trick, so you end up with a lot of false positives that don't mean all that much. So you have inflated open rates that don't mean anything, and your deliverability is suffering as a result, meaning less people are actually seeing those emails. So in my opinion, the juice just is not worth the squeeze. Turn off open tracking and send your cold emails as plain text. You want to focus on reply rates because that's the metric that actually matters. By the way, now one of the hardest parts of cold email is that the infrastructure side is incredibly technical. And if you mess it up, nothing else matters. So that's really why we built scaled mail. We handle the domains, the inboxes, the warm up, the DNS setup, all of it. So you can just focus on writing good copy, building great lists, and sending great campaigns that get results and revenue. Now, the link's going to be in the description if you want to check it out. Now, let's get back to the tips. Once your infrastructure is solid, you need a sending strategy that mimics human behavior, because all of the inbox providers, whether it's Google, Microsoft, or even a private secure email gateway, they're watching for patterns. And if you look like a robot, you're going to get treated like one. So that'll lead me into number 6, which is you don't want to send attachments or images in your cold outreach. Now, I get it. You want to show off your offer. You want to include a case study PDF, right? I'm sure you've seen your marketing team come up with these amazing emails with tons of HTML and images and everything. But the problem is that inbox providers see attachments and images as potential threats, right? Could be a virus, could be a vector for spam and malware. And so it's just safer for them, especially when you're sending from domains without a lot of history to just throw you in spam. So if you keep things plain text, you're gonna have a much easier time delivering to the inbox. Number 7, you want to throttle your volume to prevent flags. Sudden spikes in sending volume set off spam alarms. If you go from sending 10 emails a day on average to 500 overnight, you're going to get flagged. And a lot of tools, whether it's a sales loft or an outreach, make it really, really easy to mess this up if you're an enterprising SDR or AE that's looking to impress your boss. But for cold outreach, you really want to start with 10 to 20 cold emails a day per inbox and maybe gradually scale that up over weeks, but not all that much. If you really need to scale, you want to do it horizontally across more domains and more mailboxes. Number 8 is use mailbox diversity to beat deliverability filters. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to use a mix of Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, and custom SMTP inboxes. Now, different providers have different reputations, filters, and so spreading across them makes you harder to flag. Remember, the filters are just pattern matchers at scale, and so the more that they can see you because you're all concentrated on the Google network, for example, the easier it is to suss out that you're sending at scale. So by spreading out your activity and diversifying, you make it harder to flag you, and you're spreading your bets in case one of the platforms decides to mess with their algorithms and tank your deliverability overnight. Okay, number 9, domain age impacts trust a lot. Newer domains have less trust by default. Aged domains, ones that have been around for a while, tend to perform better out of the gate. Now, this is true for 1 month versus 0 days old, but it's also even more true if you're talking about really aged domains. Think 5, 10, 15, 20 years old. So if you're serious about cold email, you can actually buy aged domains from auction and use them for outreach, or you can come to providers like us, and we actually have some of these available for purchase inside the Scaled Mail platform. It definitely gives you a head start and reputation, and in many cases, you can skip the warm-up process because they're such established reputations. All right, number 10, human sounding copy is gonna beat templates every time. Now, these cold email filters, I already mentioned, they're designed to detect patterns, right? So robotic, templated language, and so are people, frankly. If somebody looks at your email and immediately knows that it's a template, they're gonna dismiss it just as quick. So write like a human, be informal, personalize where it makes sense. If your email sounds like it could have been sent to 10,000 people, it's going to perform like that. So let's use that as a segue to talk about the actual words that you're going to be putting in these emails, which for number 11, avoid spam trigger words like the plague. So words like guaranteed, free, act now, limited time, money, a lot of these urgency plays, they can kill your chances of your email even getting opened because a lot of the filters are looking for these, again, matching to patterns of spam that's been sent before. And so through no fault of your own, you might use the wrong language and end up in the spam folder. Now there's a free tool that I really like from MailMeteor, and it uses Spam Assassin guidelines to audit your copy before you send. It's a free tool. You can just put your email copy in that tool and it will tell you which words are likely to set off spam filters, and then you can go about reworking your email to make sure that you've got the best chance possible of getting through. All right, number 12, reply rate is the metric that matters the most. Now, there's something that most people don't realize. Inbox providers track engagement. So when people reply to your emails, it's a signal that you're sending valuable content to real humans, valuable enough that they would reply to you. So your emails need to spark real replies. You want to A/B test subject lines, CTAs, your copy. Tools like Smart Lead, Instantly, Email Bison, +5, they all let you track reply behavior and test variations. Now, we've worked with all of them. And when you dial this in for clients like we have, you can regularly see that reply rates can go from sub 1% to 3, 4%, or even higher. And that's really the difference between a dead campaign and a profitable. Number 13, consistent sending schedules build credibility. Don't send 500 emails on Monday and then 0 on Tuesday. Again, going back to those spikes in behavior, right? We want to keep things at a steady pace. Inbox providers are going to notice erratic swings, and they can very quickly kick in throttling if they see something that they don't like and push those additional emails into spam. And then the next day you send 5 emails, everything looks fine, they inbox fine, and you can't figure out why your cold outreach isn't working. Number 14, plain text emails often outperform designed ones. Yes, without all the fancy HTML, the logos, the video links, the branded templates, just plain text. It's because that's what the ESPs want to send through, because to them, that's the least risky thing to let into the inbox. There's not an easy way for you to deliver malware or a virus through plain text. It requires a little more effort. Whereas the wrong link, somebody clicks it, a virus enters a network, they've got real liability and real troubleshooting there. So safer for them to throw that in the spam folder. So leads into number 15. You want to avoid links when possible. If you absolutely have to use a link, don't use public shorteners like bit.ly or something like that, because they're frequently blacklisted. Spammers have abused them enough that those are going to be even more of an issue. So if you have to include a link, make sure it's the full web address. But honestly, I would optimize for the reply first. Once someone responds, then you can send your link, right? Now, I know there's a lot of people that really want to track everything and they want to be able to see what the click-through rate is. But the reality is, if only a small fraction of the people that you send to actually see the link, then the data is not worth much anymore. Okay, number 16. All replies are good replies, just like all press is good press. Even the not interested or please remove me or unsubscribe or stop, all of this counts as engagement. They're going to signal to inbox providers that a real human read your email and took the time to respond. So don't be afraid of negative replies. Your unsubscribe line is actually an opportunity to get a reply. You could have something like, reply no thanks if you don't want to hear from me again, right? And that's going to solicit more people replying to you, and it eliminates a link that you've now been able to avoid in your emails. And you're still abiding by the can spam requirements that it's easy and straightforward to unsubscribe from a campaign where you don't want to hear from them again. Number 17 is validate your email list before sending. A bad list is going to destroy your deliverability. High bounce rates, spam traps, dead emails, all of it tanks the sending reputation. So what you want to do is run your list through a validation tool before sending. Lead Magic is my go-to, but there's a lot of other great options like Million Verifier, and then tools like Clay or Prospeo for finding email addresses that are more likely to be valid. Number 18, monitor your inbox health constantly. Deliverability can drop off a cliff fast, and by the time you notice, replies have dried up, the damage is done, you don't know which leads have heard from you and which leads haven't. So monitor your inbox and domain health proactively. Now with scaled mail, we continuously track deliverability and can alert you if something starts to slip before it becomes a real problem. And you can do things like swap in a fresh domain for anyone that's problematic without affecting the rest of your subscription. Number 19 is rotate your inboxes to extend the lifespan. So this is more of a pro move, but think of setting up inboxes in two groups. You might have group A that's actively sending and tagged as group A, and that sends for 3 or 4 weeks. And group B, meanwhile, is on the bench, just warming up. They're both warming up, but one is sending cold outreach and one is not. Group B is just warming up. And then every 3 to 4 weeks, you swap them out. The ones that were sending go back to warm up only mode to recover. The fresh ones come off the bench and they start sending. You can use the tags in your sequencer to organize this, but this is going to extend the lifespan of your inboxes dramatically and keeps your deliverability high over the long term. You want to make sure that you're not spending all this money on domains and then burning them out really quickly by being a little bit too aggressive on the amount of volume you want to send. All right, there you have it. Those are 19 things that I wish I knew 20 million emails ago. If you implement even half of these, you're going to see a much better deliverability, more replies, more book calls, and ultimately more revenue for your business. Now, if you want to skip the headache of setting up all that infrastructure yourself, Scaled Mail handles all of it, whether it's domains, inboxes, DNS, monitoring, etc. The link's in the description below. Now, if you want to go deeper on cold email and see me build live campaigns step by step, watch this video next.